Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers Stock Watch, DL Isaiah Loudermilk Player, DL Isaiah Loudermilk Stock Value, Up Reasoning. The fact that the Steelers chose to re-sign Isaiah Loudermilk at all is a win for him. Add to that the lack of quality veteran reinforcements and he enters the draft in relatively good standing. At least in terms of making the 53-man roster, he may currently be on the inside of the bubble. Our latest videos The draft can radically shift the conversation, but right now, Isaiah Loudermilk seems to be in decent position. If the barometer for him is making the team, he is probably in reasonable position to do so for now. And that's probably not exactly where the Steelers wanted to be. The Steelers entered the offseason knowing that they needed to upgrade the defensive line. They knew the draft class would be deep, but they also wanted to reinforce themselves with a veteran. They reportedly wanted Javon Kinlaw, but he priced himself out of their range. In addition to re-signing Loudermilk, they only made low-level veteran moves. Even assuming Daniel Equaly makes the team, he only replaces Larry Ogunjobi on the 53-man roster. That still leaves room for Isaiah Loudermilk to return for another season with the Steelers, entering the draft, at least. But this is a discussion we will have to revisit after the draft, especially in light of free agency. Perhaps in a weaker year for rookies, the Steelers would have been more willing to pay a premium in free agency. But it seems clear that they resolved to improve the defensive line in the draft and rely on veterans like Loudermilk for insulation. A former fifth-round pick, Isaiah Loudermilk just completed his rookie contract with the Steelers. He re-signed on a one-year, veteran salary benefit deal and certainly isn't a lock to make the team. But he has been in a similar position during his entire career and always managed to make the roster. The fact that he can also help out on special teams is a significant feather in his cap to boot. But if the Steelers draft two defensive linemen, Loudermilk could be in trouble. Or at least on the practice squad, which really wouldn't be so bad. With the new league year underway and the Steelers turning their roster over, it's once again time to take stock. It took a while, but we finally saw some of that change the team talked about after the season ended. Certainly, the move to trade for WRDK Metcalf qualifies as a change, not to mention the accompanying contract. Steelers' first-round options are becoming clearer as NFL draft approaches as Steelers general manager Omar Khan ramps up for the 2025 NFL draft. The rest of Pittsburgh monitors the team's pre-draft travel. Khan and Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin have spent countless flyer miles during this time of year. They like boots on the ground at different pro days and dining with potential top picks in the upcoming draft. 2025 has been no different. It's become common for the franchise to dine with their potential first-round pick and attend their pro day. Last year was the exception, as Troy Fautanu didn't see Tomlin or Khan during his pro day event. The rules appear to be turning gray under Khan. Their draft process is not as black and white. It could make for some unforeseen drama when the first round arrives. You can see a clear path for who could be the Steelers' top choice in the pre-draft process. One of these three players will likely be the Pittsburgh Steelers' top pick in 2025 NFL Draft. Kenneth Grant, DT, Michigan. Many have connected the dots between the Steelers and Kenneth Grant. It's no secret that Pittsburgh needs to revamp the defensive line, and Grant would help. They didn't do themselves many favors in free agency, so they must target this need in the draft. Grant can play nose tackle or defensive end at the next level. His versatility will only entice Tomlin more. While Tomlin and Khan weren't present for Grant's pro day, that was a unique circumstance. Aaron Rodgers was visiting the organization that day, but defensive coordinator Terrell Austin was in attendance. Grant appears to be the early favorite to land in Pittsburgh if he's available by their pick in the first round. He would boost their defensive line when they'd hand in the card Emeka Egbuka, WR, Ohio State. Almost every vital decision-maker in Pittsburgh was at Ohio State's pro day. It would be shocking if the Steelers make it out of the 2025 NFL Draft without taking an Ohio State product. Tomlin and Khan were present, but their offensive and defensive coordinators were also there. Your eyes should be on Emeka Egbuka, who had a lot of heat going between him and Pittsburgh after he helped the Buckeyes win a national championship. Egbuka produced a good workout at his pro day and should remain in the first-round conversation despite adding DK Metcalf. Egbuka projects to be a slot receiver at the next level, but he could play outside if needed. Although many have slowed down on Egbuka to the Steelers in round 1, their pro day attendance cements him as a legitimate possibility. Walter Nolan, DT, Ole Miss. There were plenty of outstanding prospects at the Ole Miss pro day, so it wasn't surprising to see the Steelers there. Most headlines will cover Jackson Dart and his upcoming pre-draft visit with Pittsburgh, but don't discount their other prospects. Walter Nolan should get plenty of buzz around the city. He could be another quality fit into the defensive trenches. Grant might be the early first-round favorite for the Steelers, but Nolan isn't far behind. He has the physical frame that fits the mold of what the defense requires. This defensive lineman remains under 22 years old and can play both nose and defensive tackle. Insider, Steelers have fallen off pursuit of Kirk Cousins after Arthur Smith inquiry. All signs seem to be pointing toward Aaron Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. No deal is done yet, and Rodgers could surprise everyone and retire. If that happens, the Steelers might be forced to consider other options at quarterback. Kirk Cousins might be the best alternative. The Steelers would have to beat out other teams, like the Cleveland Browns, that could want to trade for Cousins. NFL insider James Palmer recently revealed some key information on Cousins' potential future. The Browns had called the Falcons very early in this process, I was told, and Kirk kind of squashed that to some extent, to my understanding, Palmer said Wednesday on Bleacher Report's YouTube channel. Kind of made it through certain intermediaries to get back to the Browns that he wasn't interested in going there. Doesn't mean that's shot down for good, but that's what happened in the beginning of this process. Our latest videos: the Browns have been one of the most linked teams to Cousins. Their owner recently made it clear that the team thinks the Deshaun Watson experiment is over. That leaves them with Kenny Pickett as their likely starting quarterback at the moment. As Steelers fans know, that isn't ideal. Therefore, they're in the market for a quarterback. Browns HC Kevin Stefanski was with Cousins for a few years with the Minnesota Vikings. That's why it's a logical landing spot for the veteran quarterback. However, it doesn't seem like he's interested in going to Cleveland. Pittsburgh could be a nice destination for him if he wants to join a contender, but Palmer revealed that the Steelers don't seem very interested in Cousins anymore. The Steelers called and kicked the tires early, but my understanding is that Arthur Smith, being the former head coach in Atlanta, still knows plenty of people in that building and kind of got the word on where things are with Kirk in terms of his play and where he's at in terms of his play as a quarterback, Palmer said. The Steelers, obviously, have fallen off. Given Cousins' play last year, that makes sense. He didn't look like the same quarterback. The biggest example is how many turnovers he had. In 14 games, Cousins threw 18 touchdown passes and 16 interceptions. That isn't going to work for Mike Tomlin. The Steelers' head coach values quarterbacks who protect the football. Plus, Cousins seemed sapped of many of his powers due to the Achilles injury he sustained during the 2023 season. Are you a fan? What do you think about Kirk Cousins' situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.